Well, 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 if it isn't my old friend Samsung. I'm not talking to you. I'm still mad at you from the last time you came out with the smartphone, in which I reviewed, then fell in love with, and then proceeded to buy said phone with my own money, then use it for 2 days, and then ship it back to you to send me a new one, only to have that send that new one back due to unexpected explosive reasons. Oh. So you say you're different now. We'll see about that. Yes, we're back with another phone review, and this time it's the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. I would be lying if I said that my faith in Samsung products hasn't really wavered. But the Note 7 incident last year did indeed leave a bad taste in my mouth. But let's leave that in the past. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus is Samsung's latest flagship that has a lot of screen real estate. The regular S8 has a 5.8-inch screen, meanwhile the S8 Plus has a 6.2-inch screen. These phones are near bezel-less. Let's start off this review with a physical tour. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus measures 148.9mm tall, 68.1mm wide, and 8mm thin, and weighs in at 173 grams. The phone is available in Midnight Black, Arctic Silver, Coral Blue, Maple Gold, and this one, Orchid Gray. The front of the phone features the aforementioned 6.2-inch dual-edge Super AMOLED display, a max resolution of 2960 by 1440. The front also has a proximity sensor, a iris scanner, and the 8-megapixel selfie camera. On the right-hand side, we have the power button. On the left-hand side, we have the volume rocker and the Bixby virtual assistant button. More on Bixby later. At the top of the phone, we have the SIM card and microSD combo tray and a microphone. At the bottom, we find the 3.5mm headphone jack, a USB Type-C port, another microphone, and the speakers. And finally, at the back, we have the flash, the dual-pixel 12-megapixel camera, and the fingerprint sensor. As for specs of the S8 Plus, it runs a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 CPU, 4GB of RAM, 64GB of internal storage, and a 35mAh battery, and it's running Android 7.0. Next, let's talk benchmarks. First up is Antutu. The S8 Plus got a score of 165,965. That's a great score when you compare it to the S7 Edge, Note 7, and LG V20. Next, we ran Geekbench. On the single core, the S8 Plus scored 1852, which is higher than the S7 Edge and V20, but doesn't outperform the Note 7 that we had. On the multicolor benchmark, the S8 Plus scored 6,387, which beats out the S7 Edge, Note 7, and V20. And I also threw the 3D Mark Slingshot Extreme benchmark at the S8 Plus just to see how it would do, and it scored 3515. The S7 Edge, running on an Exynos 8890, scored 2080. Up next in the review is everyday use. First, let's start off with first touch impressions. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus sounds big on paper with the 6.2-inch screen, and some of you are thinking, sweet jumping jalopies, 6.2 inches? That's a massive screen size. And you would be right. But Samsung has integrated the screen in a way where it doesn't feel like a massive phablet. Part of the reason is the curved glass on the front and the back of the phone. The other reason is that Samsung removed the physical home button and opted to go with a virtual one. This for sure helped with making the phone a lot more manageable in average sized hands. Moving along to battery life. The 3500 mAh battery seems to just keep going and going and going. With everyday use of web browsing, tweeting, checking emails, posting on Instagram, and a little bit of YouTube and Google Play Music for media consumption, the S8 Plus lasted me 2 full days almost. 1 day, 22 hours, and 28 minutes to be exact. Now, I don't even recall getting that much juice from the Note 7, which also had a similar sized 3500 mAh battery. But we all know the ending to that story. So, moving along. Onto the camera. The rear 12-megapixel camera has stayed the same, simply because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, which clearly Samsung has done. They didn't fix it because it wasn't broken. But the camera on the front did get a bump in the megapixel department for those of us who like to take selfies. So, 8 megapixels instead of 5. Media consumption. I'll keep this short. Samsung has once again stuck with the Super AMOLED display, which allows for deeper blacks in videos, and the bottom-firing speaker gets decently loud. I would have liked to see front-facing speakers, but I can live without it. On to the newest feature of the S8 and S8 Plus, it's Bixby.
Bixby.
Bixby is basically Samsung's digital assistant, similar to Google Assistant or Siri. There's a lot you can do with Bixby, from setting reminders to checking the news or the weather to even recognizing a certain snack with the camera and being able to shop for that snack. Now, just a small caveat, Bixby Voice was not available in Canada just yet at the time of testing, so I didn't get a chance to really test drive that function, but Samsung Canada has said that it will be launching in Canada later this spring. And finally, probably the coolest thing about the S8 lineup is the Samsung DeX, as you can see by this setup here. The Samsung DeX lets you connect your S8 or S8 Plus to a monitor, keyboard, and mouse for a desktop experience that's all powered by just the phone. Pretty much anything you can do with your phone, you can do on the DeX with the phone docked. Heck, I even wrote half this script while using the DeX and I didn't have any major complaints. The DeX offers one USB-C port for power, 2 USB-A ports for your peripherals, an HDMI port for the monitor, and even an Ethernet port. To dock the phone, simply slide the top cover so that it angles out and place the phone down on the USB-C connector, and voila! Your phone is now a computer. The DeX even has a built-in fan to keep things a bit cooler if things get hot. So it seems like there was a lot of good things that I had to say about the S8 Plus, but there are also some small issues I had with the phone, so here's a list of pros and cons. Pros. The S8 Plus has a huge screen while keeping the form factor easy to handle. They brought back the iris scanner from the Note 7 for quickly unlocking your phone. The battery life on it is solid. It's waterproof. It has Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back. The TouchWiz UI will let you rearrange the recent apps and back buttons. Finally. And pictures taken with the camera will still look great, and the Dock's dock turns your S8 Plus or S8 into a portable PC. But here are some of the cons. I personally had a harder time getting the iris scanner to unlock the phone on the first attempt. Maybe it was just this unit, but that's something I didn't have a problem with on the Note 7. With the curved glass edges on the phone, consuming media with the phone in landscape mode, or just turning the phone on its side, was more difficult since there's less space to hold on to. But if you get a case, you should be good. The DeX is unfortunately sold separately and is $150 US. It would be nice to have seen Samsung bundle the DeX with the phone, but obviously you can live without it. That's all I got. 3 measly cons versus 7 pros for that list. I mean, honestly, I could keep talking about more pros, but I thought 7 was actually enough. And real talk, those cons I mentioned earlier aren't really cons at all, since you don't really need to have a DeX dock, and there are a bunch of companies that will make cases that will allow for a better hold on the phone. So, what's my final thought? Samsung has once again outdid themselves in their journey to perfect the smartphone category. After failing so hard with the Note 7, Samsung has come back and worked hard to show that they could do better. And they did. I once said that the Note 7 was almost the perfect phone. And for me, I think Samsung has done just that. An almost perfect phone for someone like myself. I mean, a flagship like this will always cost an arm and a leg, hence why it's almost perfect. The S8 and S8 Plus here in Canada is $1,035 and $1,115 respectively. Would I be likely to buy this phone? Yeah. Would I also like to see the price be cheaper? Heck yeah. But if you don't have the dough to buy the S8, you could go out and buy an S7 or S7 Edge. Those phones are still great and should be getting a price drop soon, or if that hasn't happened already, it will be. Do I think there's another flagship similar right now that comes close to S8 or S8 Plus? Well, the LG G6 kind of does come close, but it's not running a Snapdragon 835 like the S8 series. So there really isn't anything out there that's comparable. So, the S8 and S8 Plus. They are nearly flawless. If any of you are interested in purchasing the Galaxy S8 or Galaxy S8 Plus, NCIX does have them available to order. You can click up here in the corner or down in the description for more details. Alright, that's it for my review of the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. Thank you so much for watching. Click over here for previous videos. Check us out on Twitter right over there. But as always, like the video if you liked it, comment down below for fans with benefits, and subscribe for more videos like this from NCIX. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go check my bank account to see if I've saved enough money to buy a new phone.